Welcome to CSM Talk, the CSM podcast that focuses on two fundamental aspects of customer success: value to the customer and value to your organization. Today on Rule 40 Success, I'll be asking my guests to focus on a particular area of the Rule 40: new logo acquisition, upsell and expansion, churn or profitability, and give their point of view on how they would partner with customer success to drive aspects of the Rule of 40 and how this delivers customer value. Okay, got it? Good. Let's CSM talk. Welcome to CSM Talk and Rule of 40 Success. On today's podcast, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Tom O'Nolan. I won't go any further. Tom is going to introduce himself. Hey, Tom.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, nice to speak to you again. My name is Tom O'Nolan. I work for Zora. My role is in our product and go-to-market strategy org. So I'm very focused on upsell and developing new products and services for Zora's existing customer base, most specifically.
Cool. And for those who are not familiar with Zora, one of the questions I like to ask is about their kind of go-to-market motion in general. We have some people to product-led growth, which is like your Asanas and Monday.coms and people like that. And then there's the other end, which is service-led growth. Where does Zora sit in that?
I would say that we are sales and partner-led rather than product-led. It's probably fair to say partner, the kind of indirect channel is very important for Zora, has been for some years, and that's kind of a source of growth for us. But we also have a pretty extensive and pretty highly skilled direct sales force as well.
Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to start with the icebreaker question, which I ask all my guests. And I say this every podcast, but I should have a big board where I have people's names and what their answer is on here. I'm going to ask a question in one word. That's one word, not 10 words, not 3 words, not even 0 words. But in one word, sum up customer success.
For me, from my point of view, customer success is adoption.
Adoption. Okay, cool. That goes up on the board next to your name.
Nice.
which I'm going to get done at some point. Cool. Okay, so we're going to come to the Rule of 40 now. So just a quick recap for all of you who just started looking at this. We look at the Rule of 40, and the Rule of 40 is made up of 2 elements. There is the revenue growth. So that is new business acquisition, new business logos, upsell and expansion and cross-sell, mitigation of churn, so reducing churn and renewals. And then on the other side is profitability. And the idea is when you add the 2 together, they come to 40% or more. And this is an operating model, not an operating model, but kind of a quick gauge that VCs look at and CFOs look at to the health of a company. So Tom, stay on the looking at the Rule of 40. Which aspects of the Rule of 40 do you want to discuss?
I think I very kind of squarely sit in the upsell or expansion part of that. We have some kind of secondary focus on profitability and churn, but definitely upsell and expansion is my focus.
Cool. Okay, cool. Is there so in terms of upsell and expansion, let's maybe just dig into that a little more. Is there a particular offering you want to talk about in terms of upsell and expansion?
Yeah, so a big chunk of my role today is growing and developing our managed service offering, which we call Zora Turnkey.
Just talk us a bit more about what the offering entails, and why that might be of value to customers.
Sure. So there are a few aspects to it. Zora is fundamentally an order to cash and a revenue recognition system. We use the term order to revenue or quote to revenue as customers can use us for anything from quoting through to recognizing revenue and reporting their numbers. And the managed service offering, as you'd expect, covers all of those areas in between. So we've split it into 4 process areas. Firstly, your product catalog and your order lifecycle actions. Secondly, billing billing operations, thirdly, payment operations, and finally, revenue management. So our customers can take a combination of those offerings, or they can take all of them or one of them, depending on which Zuora products and services they use, or where they need the most help. You know, for example, one thing we found out since we've gone to market in this is we have a lot of customers that use Zuora's billing product, and they use Zuora's revenue product, and they also use us for payments, but they may only need help with revenue, or they may only need help with payments, for example. So we're pretty flexible in terms of how we go to market.
And what is the gap this managed service is providing, is bridging for customers at the moment? What is it they are lacking that you're kind of helping with?
I think that's a good question. I think there's generally pressure today, given both the macro environment and just companies trying to always be more efficient. There's generally an ask of teams and financial departments to do more with less. That's, to me, has never been more true than, you know, in the last year or so since COVID-19 calmed down. So, you know, there's a strain on resources as it is. I think the kind of the great resignation or the great reshuffle, you know, whatever the right term is, has exacerbated that. We're talking to a lot of customers that had, you know, 2 or 3 people, or maybe one really skilled person working on Zuora, managing Zuora for them, and it was all kind of running tickety-boo. If that person leaves, or if one or two of that team leaves, we've also had where they move to other roles in the same company. There becomes a gap, you know, in skilled resources and staff that know how to manage the system and know the kind of the intricacies of it, because no two Zuora customers use the system in exactly the same way. That's one of our strengths. We allow customers to be extremely flexible in how they go to market with using our products. But for that reason, it can mean that there's no kind of cookie cutter way to run Zuora. So we've had a lot of customers coming to us, either someone's left the business or someone's moved around to another role, and all of a sudden they realize that they don't have people that know how to run or operate Zuora in an optimal fashion.
So it's really the people who kind of own and run Zuora from a systems perspective.
Yeah, that's probably one the main reason that we talk to people. We also have some bigger customers that have a team in place, but they want to augment that. You know, they might have strict SLAs in place internally with their own internal stakeholders, and the need to keep those SLAs you know, kind of means that they need our help, because maybe the team internally can't monitor things 24/7, for example. That's one of the parts of our offering. So yeah, those would be the two main reasons we talk to people today.
Getting the offering out there. How might you partner with CSMs to do that?
We partner a lot with CSMs, given the nature of this offering. I work a lot day to day with our CSM teams. Probably the first, I think I probably spent time internally selling this and working with our CSM teams before I spent a lot of time with our account management teams, for example, because a lot of that knowledge and experience on our customers sits within CSM. So yeah, partner a lot with CSMs. And you know, a great source of kind of intelligence and leads for us as we build up the offering and find more customers that need it.
Do you find that the partnership with CSMs, because of their knowledge of how people are running Zuora, may help refine the offering at some point?
Yeah, it certainly has to an extent already, and it will continue to do so. That's one thing that we're working a lot on at the moment, is really the I guess the dividing lines and the handover between what we call our ESMs, which is an enterprise service manager. That's the person that runs the managed service for each of our customers, and our CSMs. It's obviously really important they work they work really closely together, given the nature of both roles, and that they are quite close in what they do. They're both overall there to make sure our customers are successful and get the most out of Zora. So yeah, that's still work in progress, is probably fair to say, but we are working quite closely together, and it's working really well in some of the bigger customers where we've kind of worked this out now.
In terms of partnering with CSMs, what looks like good?
I think this is probably a standard answer, but very important. I think communicating early and often is a big thing. As I mentioned, CSM is a huge source of leads for us for managed services customers. The earlier, if I've done my job right, then the CSMs kind of know and understand those kind of indicators and warnings that a customer might need a managed service. That's my job to kind of educate them and enable them on that. If I've done that, then that allows the CSMs to communicate early with me and the team that, hey, I've got this customer, we're seeing these kind of issues happen, or we're seeing these challenges. I think they'd be a really good managed services customer. So communicating early and often is huge, and we've acquired some really good customers through the CSM channel, just spotting one or two things that indicate they could really use our help. That's probably the biggest one for me. I think having the knowledge, having that kind of deep knowledge, and probably more history and context than maybe knowledge, having that kind of history and context on the customer. Some of the, if we have this issue, having the knowledge as to why and what's the background to that, and what happened a year ago that might have caused an issue that the customer's seeing today. That's really useful when we're having these conversations, because we're then not going in blind, and we can, when I first speak to a customer, I can go in with a good level of knowledge and understanding by the first meeting, which makes onboarding these customers much easier.
Cool. So in terms of what looks good in terms of a partnership with CSM, do you track any kind of leading indicators that might, you can anecdotally say, oh, I'm having some good conversations out there. Is there anything you kind of formalize? If not, is there anything you'd like to kind of formalize with the CSM team on, programmatically go, well, this looks like something like maybe CSQLs or whatever, is that?
So Zora is, I'm probably not close enough to this at the moment, but Zora is starting to track CSQLs as I understand it. That's a fairly new one for us, but it is something we're doing now. CSM's involving me in EBRs and QBRs of customers has been really useful, just to listen in. Then there may not always be an opportunity for managed service, but it gives me a bit of knowledge, and also means that I'm not a stranger when the CSM does introduce me in a more formal conversation.
So if I just take a step back now to summarize this, the way that for introducing a managed service offering or getting CSMs comfortable with positioning it would be firstly enablement. Now these are the situations. If these situations resonate with your customers, then they could be that there's value to us offering this managed service. That's the first thing. Secondly is just getting the right, maybe having, if they've got leads, handing those on so you can track those to go, well, okay, I've done my education. This is what I've got in leads. And another way of being able to maybe, look at further getting more interest is being included in EBRs. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, definitely. And one that we're kind of trying to crack the code with at the moment is looking at how, what we've noticed is when CSMs are overutilized, and I'm sure you've come across this in your career a number of times, there actually, to me, there comes a point when CSMs are overutilized by the customer. Now it's a tricky one to kind of establish, because, and also a delicate one to work out what the kind of handover point is, because a good CSM by nature will want to do more for a customer. They'll want to spend more time on a customer. They'll want to help them out more. But actually, what we've found since we, excuse me, since we've developed this offering past the initial few customers a year back, is okay. We've actually got some customers where the CSMs are being kind of run ragged, and they're being used for a lot of things that they're not meant to do. For example, so yeah, whereas a CSM, are doing their job really well. They're helping customers with a bunch of adoption things. What we found in some customers is, okay, the customer's actually pulling the CSM more into kind of support type work. They're pulling them into escalations and asking them if they can work on weekends when they have big things on. They're asking them to monitor support tickets and things like that. Those are all things that we have a dedicated managed services team to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually found that customers can, because they have great CSMs, they can tend to ask too much. So one tricky one that we're trying to crack the code on is at what point does the CSM start saying no, and hand it over to the managed services team to talk about. Now, obviously, that's a difficult conversation with the customer, because you're talking about going from a service or a person that's included in your software license or your subscription to a paid service, which customers never really going to want to pay for something if they have a great CSM that does it for them for free. But I see a secondary benefit in future in this offering in actually freeing up our CSM's time to focus on really high value activities for them. Because I'm sure when we actually get into it, they don't want to be doing all of this kind of monitoring and troubleshooting stuff. That's that's kind of busy work for them, and we want to try and free that time up for them so that they can do high level and high value activities.
And again, if you've got good engagement with somebody at a C level on the customer side, like the CIO or the CFO, and you're hopefully engaged with them with success plans, you could be looking to them and talking to them and saying, hey, look, we've got a situation here.
Yeah.
I've got a commitment to you to take out this much cost in the business, and I'm running this success program to do this. I got a commitment to you as the CMO to decrease churn in payment credit cards by 5%, right? But if I've got the IT team here pulling me in this direction doing this, this will drop. So can we please speak about how we can get some assistance in at this level to work with them and give them dedicated and even better technical resource to help them here. And then here I can drive this program for you, which is giving you the benefits you want to take back to the board. So
definitely, it's always a tricky conversation to have, and you're changing habits and methods of engagement that have been done, as for many years. I mean, Zora's been around for kind of 14 years, if I've got that right, nearly 14 years, I think. So a lot of these customers are used to a way of working with us, and resetting that or optimizing it or amending it can be tricky, but ultimately better for all parties when we do it. There's just a there's a process that we have to go through to get to best, if you like. Go high.
That's always the answer, isn't it? Go high.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you have to tell them we're not doing things the best way, but usually ends out fine.
Go high enough and go, look, you're the CFO. I can do all of this stuff, which is, and you don't get this, and everyone's going to be unhappy, and we don't want that. So cool. Just to end, this has been really, really great, insightful stuff. Your top 3 tips of, I'm a CSM out at some ERP company or something like that, and I've got a division doing a managed service thing, an offering, and they're looking to take it out there. What's my top 3 tips for working with getting manager services into my customer base?
I think look out for, as a CSM, am I doing work for this customer that I shouldn't really have to? Do the activities that I'm doing for my customer feel natural for my role, or am I kind of wearing 2 or 3 hats? If I'm a CSM at any kind of vendor, if I'm doing 2 or 3 jobs that either the customer should should have a managed service or should hire more staff to do. That would be my first kind of thing to look out for. Get in touch with your managed services folks, see if they can plug that gap and support the customer. I think there's some interesting things that we're looking at around overall customer engagement. So is a customer, for example, is a customer not, what percentage of our products or services is a customer using? Are they really engaged? Are they adopting our products and services? If they're a big customer, but they're not adopting all of our products and services, that may be because they don't have the staff in-house to drive that adoption or to kick off those projects or really lead them. That could be an indicator for some sort of managed service where we can do it for them. If the customer doesn't have the people to do these things, let's have our team go in and make sure that they're on the latest and greatest and do it for them in a managed service. Third one, I think, look at your customer staff as well. If your customer's staff are also doing 2 or 3 jobs, if they are struggling to do maybe the basics of their job in your system, not able to attend calls and things, are they understaffed? Are they being worked too hard by their stakeholders? Could they use some sort of managed service to free up their time as well as yours? Those are probably be the 3 things that I would look out for initially in a customer.
This is amazing because to me it says adoption is not getting where it needs to be, because on all sides it's bandwidth, bandwidth, and bandwidth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're throwing everything onto me. All this stuff needs to be done.
Yeah.
And you're throwing it onto me, but it's not my job. So let me get a managed service.
Yeah.
We're looking at, why aren't you taking on more things, and why aren't you doing more things with us when we could tell you it's of value? Well, bandwidth here and bandwidth. So that seems to be the key for me. Bandwidth, bandwidth, and bandwidth. You see bandwidth issues, this is a good place to start.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't be surprised, but you might be surprised the amount of conversations I've had where we've gone in to talk about managed services and the customers come to us with list of requirements, things they want to do. Those might be features that we've implemented a few years ago, but because of their own bandwidth issues or staffing issues or just general knowledge on the product, maybe that Zora expert left a year ago, customers not aware of it. And the way that we get them onto latest and greatest is through a combination of CSM and managed services. Excellent.
Tom, this has been fantastic. If people want to get in touch with you and reach out to you and just understand a bit more about managed services in general, is LinkedIn a really good way of doing that?
Yeah, LinkedIn's definitely the best way. I'm pretty active on there. If people are interested or have questions, they can hit me up whenever.
Excellent. I'll put this on I'll put that, and then there's a link on the description of the Spotify podcast and the YouTube podcast. But awesome. Tom, that has been amazing. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, you too. Always fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have you back as a guest at some point.
That sounds good. Cheers, Kevin. Thanks very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.